This is your boy Densuo, and I am not able to sleep today. So I'm going to go and cover the update information for Gundam Battle Operation 2 that just dropped. And if I'm not mistaken, unfortunately, when I'm streaming from the PlayStation, if I go ahead and go to the update details right now, it's not gonna let me see. It's not gonna let you see it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and cover all the information and keep it as concise as possible. So let's go ahead and get into it. So let's get started. For the update, this did require a application update for the game itself. The main update is that Series Battle was added into the game. So Series Battle means that whenever Series Battle is up, it is going to restrict the suits that can be played, depending on what series is running. So, for example, the 1 Year War, the Delos conflict, etc., etc. Um, so that's only going to be for relevant mobile suits that were used in that era or that appeared in that work, so on and so forth. So that is going to be available in Quick Match during certain times. The schedule using Japanese time is from midnight to 1 to 2 a.m., from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., from 12 noon to 2 p.m., from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Again, those are Japanese times, so adjust yourself accordingly. With the exception of the 25th of November, which is when the update dropped, and and Thursday today, from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m., the series battle will be available the entire time. You can also, of course, set series battle. Series battle in custom match if you make a custom room, so you can do that there. An example is, of course, the 1 Year War. So that includes anything that was involved in the 1 Year War will be able to be picked there. So, for example, the Grandpa Gundam, the early production Gelgoog, Gundam Ground Type Zuda, etc., Pixie, Axaku. Then there's also the 08th MS team for the series battle, so that'll of course include the Gundam EZ8, Goof Custom, Guy, so on and so forth. There's also series battle for my personal favorite, War in the Pocket, so that'll of course include the Alex, the Camphor, the Jim Sniper 2, Gelgoog Type J, Zegok E, so on and so forth. For Rise from the Ashes, that is from Mobile Suit Gundam Gaiden, Rise from the Ashes. That includes the Jim Sniper 2 White Dingo, the Gun Cannon Mass Production Type, Gelgoog Ground Type BD, Goof, so on and so forth. Gun Cannon Mass Production Type, that's also from War in the Pocket, so it'll be involved in that too. Dayla's Conflict covers suits that were in Stardust Memory, so GP01, Gelgoog M, or excuse me, Gelgoog Marine, the Zaku 2 F2, and the G-Line suits. So it says here that these are just examples. So don't forget to check in game. You can do that because with the implementation of Series Battle, they have also added Series Battle as a sort option when you are in your Haro menu. So take advantage of that. Now, various parameters were adjusted, so we're going to go over that in a second. But before we touch that, just check real quick. The Zeta Plus C1 was released. It is a 3-star mobile suit. The premium login bonus for December was updated, but that's only really for whales, honestly. Some new suits were added into the recycle ticket, and that would be the Rick Dias level 1. Its weapon, the Clay Bazooka Shrapnel type, is level 1, is also included in the shop. The materials that I just mentioned and the suit will be available from the 26th of November today up until Friday 8 a.m. I'm sorry, until Friday. A couple of suits were also added into the DP shop. So that being the Gerbera Tetra level 1, Goof VD level 3, Jim White Dingo level 3 as well. Included in that is also the weapon for the Jim White Dingo, that being the early prototype beam rifle level 2 and 3 have been added to the shop as well. Some materials were removed from the supply drop lineup or from the gacha. We'll cover that in a bit too. Let's see what else is there to talk about. There were several different bug fixes. So let's go ahead and cover what was adjusted. Let's let that load. So, unit adjustments for November. Looks like this was done back in October, but we may as well just go ahead and go over it in the event that you guys haven't seen this. So, the Double Zeta Gundam, the main weapon, the double beam rifle, power was increased from 1400 to 1500. And it increases the accumulation of staggering and increases the power of focused fire. So its charge shot got stronger. The beam saber, uh, it increased the correction for downswings. Cooldown time was reduced from 3 seconds to 2.5. The rear missile launcher, the range was increased from 350 to 400, and reload speed was reduced from 15 seconds to 12 seconds. So they also mentioned why. So basically they feel that the damage that it was dealing was too low. The double beam rifle, they strengthened it to make it easier to break the enemy's body, and they've also adjusted the staggered accumulation value to increase the chance of a follow-up attack. They increased the double beam rifle and the stagger accumulation to help break the enemy's stance and increase the opportunity for follow-up attacks. The missile launcher, they extended the range to allow follow-up attacks from the main weapon, and they also the reload time, so that you can of course have more stable firepower. The hyper beam saber was enhanced, and they lowered the cooldown so that you can do it more often. They also show, of course, reference data as usual, which is why they show, reasons why they're buffing suits. The base level 1 Double Zeta Gundam is at 650 cost, and they show the average win rate. The average win rate for suits was 50.1%. The win rate of the player's rival being 48.1%, and the total damage done 61.4k damage, with mobile suit deaths at 2.6. For reference, the Double Zeta Gundam has a win percentage of 46.4, so it's below average. The rival win rate, I mentioned it wrong. I'm assuming they mean being able to beat your rival. That, players in 650 beat their rivals 48.1% of the time. The Double Zeta Gundam beats its rivals 42.1% of the time. Damage done 60.584k. I'm sorry, 60.5k, so it's still less than the average. So that's basically what it is. I guess they were more concerned about the win rate more than anything else, because damage seems to be just fine. The Kublai, oh boy, this ought to be fun. The Kublai, it has a nerf here. Unit performance, the unit skill, special shoulder buffer, level 3 was adjusted to level 1. Secondary weapon, the funnels, the pursuit type, which is the ones that float around you. They adjusted the accumulation value of staggering. Doesn't say if it was lowered or high or raised. But let's go ahead and go to the adjustment intent. This is a downward revision, aka nerf, because this unit has a higher than expected score. Press X to doubt. It was difficult to launch other units in the current cost 650 battlefield, except for the Kublai, which is true. If anybody is playing this game, they will know that if they play 650, it's literally stack Kublais, win. So because of the large size of the Kublai's shoulder binders, it has a high rate of exposure to bullets, which means that it was a lot of damage reduction. If you look at the Kublai skills, it has a shoulder binder, it has the leg binder, so it's like, those two spots are huge. Its legs and its shoulders are gigantic. So more often than not, people are going to hit there, and those have that massive damage reduction. So it's just like, you're going to be dealing, less damage all the time. There's going to be a pain in the rear end for raids, and it's also going to matter for, supports. So a lot of supports, the Kublai can just straight up outduel them and beat them as it is. So because of it says here, due to the greater than expected defensive effectiveness, the skill was adjusted. They've adjusted the stagger accumulation value as a secondary weapons, the pursuit funnels. It's very easy to break the enemy stance, in other words, stagger them, and produce more results than expected. Very true. Especially when you consider ground missions, the fact that you can use those funnels in ground missions, it's just, you can't really do anything about the pursuit funnels. Next, it says here the supplemental information on the Kublai Mark II, which is the raid. The Kubali Mark II, which has similar fuselage shape, skills, and performance. The current win rate of the Kubali Mark II is a little low, and other results are within acceptable range. Therefore, after Kubali's adjustment, we will decide whether to make another adjustment after obtaining data for a certain period of time. In other words, they're only nerfing the general Kubale. The raid Kubale, they're not touching it just yet. Same thing as before. They are referencing the win rates. Again, 650 is the base for the level 1 Kubale. The win rate again, 50.1. Beating your rival, 48.1. Damage done, 61.4k. Mobile suit losses, 2.6. For Kubale, its win rate is 53.4. Clearly better than the win rate average. The beating your rival, 57.6%, which is significant. And then damage done, 73.0k, which is much higher, 12k higher than the average. Alternatively, if you look at the Kubale Mark II, the raid, the win rate is 49.6 for the win rate. And this is kind of strange. It has the same, it has a different mention for the averages. It's showing, I'm assuming maybe that's the average for raids, I guess. It shows the average is 50.2 for win rate. The Kubale Mark II has 49.6, which is below. The rival win rate, 49.3 for the average, 50.5 for the Kubale Mark II. Average damage done, 65.2k. Average for the Kubale Mark II, 70.6k. However, mobile suit losses, the average is 2.8, and for Kubale Mark II, it's 3.0. So, there you go. In my opinion, the Kubales in general are too strong, especially on ground. So, yeah. Let's continue. Next, we have the high mobility Zaku ground type. Its HP was increased from 12k to 13k. This also applies to higher levels. Level 2, the level 2 of this suit, thrusters were increased from 50 to 55. Level 3, the level 3 suit has thrusters increased from 50 to 60. So the adjustment intent, as it says here, the victory rate and MS loss were below average for all levels. We believe that one of the reasons for this is that although this unit is good at close range combat, it has lower HP compared to general units in the same cost range, which makes it difficult to fight in close quarters where the rate of damage is high. In order to improve this, they of course gave it a buff of HP, just 1k. In addition, since the win rate was decreasing further from level 2, we have increased the thrusters from level 2 onwards to make it easier to approach enemy units, making it easier to fight at close range. So, same as before, let's cover the averages. The average for the 300 cost is 50.4 win rate, 49.3 versus your rival, 45.4k damage done, and 3.0 for MS's lost. For the level 1 high mobility Zaku ground type, the win rate is 48.6. The rival's win rate is 50.8. Damage done is 47.6. MS loss 3.4. So its win rate was below the average, but everything else is above the average. Of course, MS loss, it is losing a bit more, dying a bit more. We move to the 350 cost, which is the level 2. The average is 49.9 for win rate. Rival win rate 49.2. Damage done 47.8k. MS loss is 2.9. The level 2 high mobility Zaku ground type has a win rate of 46.9. The rival's win rate is 46.6. The damage done is 47.6k, and MS loss is 3.1. So you're dying more often. Damage is comparable. However, the win rates are both lower than the average. And then we move to the 400 cost, which is level 3. And the average is 50% for win rate. Rival win rate 49.7. Damage done 49.9. MS loss 2.8. The level 3's win rate is 46.9, which is below average. 44.2 for the rival win rate, again below average. Damage is 49.1k, which is again comparable. And then MS loss 3.0. So for them, it warrants a buff. However, it's not that much of a buff that they're doing. Just a slight nudge. I think then that's pretty good. No, I think that's a fair buff to give it, because if you play this game a lot, you're gonna notice that the higher the cost or the higher the level of the suit tends to struggle more. Especially when especially when you take a suit that's level one at that cost, it tends to be better more often than not than taking a suit from before and bringing it up to that cost. Next suit that got adjusted is the Gundam Mark III. The Gundam Mark III's unit performance. They gave it the skill Combat Continuous Attack Control level 1. Assuming that's melee combo controller, I guess is what that is. And for the ranged weapon, the beam rifle, number of bullets increased from 4 to 5. So this unit was in a state where its victory rate was decreasing, even though its damage dealt was above the average. However, it's difficult to contribute to the team because they have few opportunities to stagger with only shooting attacks. In order to improve the situation, they added the skill that I just mentioned. It makes it easier for the contribute to the team by being able to fight at close quarters. So yeah, that sounds like they gave it melee combo controller. At the same time, they've increased the number of rounds on the beam rifle, like we just mentioned. So let's talk about the averages again. We look at the average for the 500 cost, 49.9. Rival win rate, 49.5, excuse me. Damage done, 61.3. And MS loss, 2.9. The Gundam Mark III's level 1 win rate is 46.9%, which is less. 46.2 for the rival win rate. But it is dealing more damage than average, which is 63.1k, and it's also dying less at 2.8. The level 2, which is at 600 cost, the average is 49.7 for win rate, 49 for rival win rate, 62.6k in damage dealt, and then 2.6 MS loss. The Gundam Mark III stands at 47.4 for win rate, 45.7 for rival win rate, but it's dealing much more damage at 65k, and same in MS loss. The next adjustment is for the Gapthali. It says here, turning speed from 60 to 63, level 2 unit, live ammunition, so basically range damage, range defense was increased from 27 to 32, beam defense increased from 27 to 32, and for the level 2 shooting correction 33, so it was increased to 40. So it got a buff to its ranged attack. It also got a buff to its ranged and to beam and solid defenses. So we have adjusted this unit in July, but the results of the adjustment were less than expected, and various results were lower than expected. So they buffed it again. But due to the poor handling of the main weapon, they adjusted this one as the main weapon was not well handled. The main weapon is a shared weapon, so etc. Now, let's see. Yep. So, referencing it, the Gapthali costs 600 is for the level 1. The average win rate is 49.7. Rival win rate 49.0. Damage done 62.6k. MS loss 2.6. The Gapthali at level 1 has a win rate of 45.7, which is below average. The win rate is 39.4, which is a significant difference, almost 10% less. Damage done 60.9, which is again less, and then MS loss 2.8, so you're dying more often. So it's not doing well at all. Next we have the level 2, which is much worse actually. The 650 cost is the level 2 Gapthali, which is again that's Kubale territory. The average win rate 50.1, average rival win rate 48.1. Damage done 61.4, MS loss 2.6. The level 2 Gapthali, again at 650 cost, the win rate 40.9. So again, almost 10-point difference. The rival win rate, not much better, from 48.1 to 32.2. So again, that's even worse. And damage done 51.8k, almost 10k less damage. MS loss 3. The Gapthali in flight mode also had another buff given to it, turning speed from 48 to 54, and you can press the crouch button to increase the turning speed during deceleration. Next suit that was changed is the Gundam Pixie. There's a lot of changes. The Gundam Pixie, the unit skill maneuver armor was improved from level 1 to level 2. For the level 1 Pixie, HP was increased from 11k to 12k. Level 1 thrusters increased from 45 to 55. That's a pretty good change. The same applies to the level 2. For the double beam daggers, its main melee weapon, the level 1 was increased from 22k to 23k. The level 2 from 2310 to 2360. So just a slight buff. Let's continue. So this unit had a below average victory rate and damage in level 1 and level 2. So they're saying that they felt that this was because its HP was too low, and then the thrusters and maneuver armor was not enough to get close to the enemy. Not sure about that, because if anything, if you're a smart raid with a stealth suit like this, you really shouldn't be having that problem. I don't know. I don't think I'm that good as a raid, but when I play Pixie, I typically tend to do pretty well. But hey, this isn't just me. This is about, an accumulation of data and how people are playing. So that's why they made those changes. Let's look at the changes, and again, let's cover the averages. So this is for the level 1 and 2 that got buffed. The 3 and the 4 were not changed. The level 1 begins at 400 cost. So let's check averages. The average is 50.4 for win rate. Rival win rate 49.1. Damage dealt 52.4. And MS loss 3.2. The level 1 has a win rate of 47.9. Win rate for rivals 42.9. Damage dealt 50.1k. Mobile suits loss 3.2. For the level 2, which is at 450, the win rate is 50.8. Rival win rate 49.8. Damage dealt 54.6. MS loss 3.1. The level 2 has a 49.9 win rate. 43.9 versus rivals. 53.6k in damage done. And 3.1 in MS loss. So it sounds like it's hanging in there to me. For the level 3 at 500 cost, the win rate is 49.8. That's the average. The rival win rate 47.8. Damage done 60.6k. And MS loss 3.3. The level 3 stands at 50.4, which is above it. 47.2 comparable. 61k, again comparable. MS loss 3.2, slightly less. The level 4 at 550 cost, the win rate is 49.9. The average is 49.9 win rate, 46.6 rival win rate, 58.9k damage, and 2.9 MS loss. The Pixie goes at 51.9, which is higher, 46.9, slightly higher, and then 65.9k, which is much higher, which is a significant enough jump. And MS loss 3.0, so slightly more. The next suit that was changed, we have a couple more. We have the Gap Plant, GP02 Raid, Hambrabi, and the Shkrum Diaz. We're going to cover all of them. The Gap Plant had its range weapon, the beam rifle, changed. Heat rate was reduced from 85% to 80. The main melee weapon, the double beam sabers, they reduced the weapon switching time. The secondary weapon, the double beam rifle, heat rate reduced from 10 to 8%. Range increased from 250 to a whopping 400 meters. That's a huge change. Increased the accumulation of staggering and reduced the heat rate during focused firing. That's a pretty big change. So it looks like the text was a little screwed up here, because it says here that they believe that its large size and poor weapon handling are the cause for its poor performance. So that's why they made the changes that they did. That was the main reason. However, these changes are for the level 1 and level 2 Gap Plant. It says here they do not have enough information for the level 3, as it was just implemented on Thursday, November 19th. So it looks like this is a typo above when they talked about these changes. So let's continue. They just added the level 3 Gap Plant November 19th. So that's why they're not releasing the data for the level 3. The adjustments to the level 3 have been made after a long period of testing with reference to the level 1 and level 2 results, and a small amount of data from 11.19 and beyond. So let's continue with the level 1 and 2. The level 1 is 550 cost. The average win rate 49.9. Rivals win rate 46.6. Damage done 58.9k, and mobile suits lost 2.9. The Gap Plant stands at level 1 with a 46.8 win rate, which is less. 42.1 rival win rate, again less. 54.3k damage done, again less. And MS loss 3.2. So it's just not doing well at all. The 600 cost is for level 2. The average is 49.2 for win rate. Rival win rate 48.6. Damage done 65.7k. And MS loss 3. The Gap plant stands at 46.7 win rate, less. 43.3 rival win rate, again less. 59.1k, which is another big jump. And then MS loss 3. So there you go. Let's continue to the Gundam GP02. This is for the raid, the beam bazooka, so GP02BB from here on out. The change was to its main weapon, the bazooka, the beam bazooka. They increased its power from 2.5k to 3k and higher levels. So this is not just for the level 1, this is not just for the base beam bazookas, for all of them. Range increased from 350 to 450, which is great. And they, of course, it says here they increased the power of the charge shot. So this unit had a lower than average win rate and damage. The beam bazooka for GP02, which is a feature of this unit, has been set as a weapon with high power for a single attack, but it has few opportunities to be used. You know, its damage was low due to high beam resistant armor at the same cost range. So that's why they buffed it. Let's continue. I mean, but let's be real. Most people I see when they're using the suit, they usually just set it up for one hit from the beam bazooka, and then from there they're either gonna go for melee or they're gonna just spam those godlike head Vulcans. In any case, there's level 1, 2, and 3. So 550, level 1. The win rate average is 49.9. Rival win rate 46.6. Damage done 58.9. And MS loss 2.9. So level 1 GP02 is 48.5. Rival win rate 46.3. Damage done 57.5. MS loss 2.9. For the level 2 at 600 cost, the average 49.2. GP02 48.5. Rival win rate 48.6 versus 42.9. Damage done 65.7 versus a very low 59.2. And MS loss 3.0 to 2.7. So it's not dying as much, which is a good thing, but damage difference is there. For the level 3, at 650 cost, win rate 50.2 average, 47.6 for GP02, 49.3 for rival, 48.0 for GP02. 65.2k damage versus 55.9k damage, so almost a 10k difference. 2.8 MS loss for average, 2.6 for the GP02. So it's clearly struggling in damage. Next you have the Hambrabi. The thrusters are increased from 70 to 75, that's it. So they adjusted it again because they felt that the performance of the Hambrabi was declining. Main weapon was adjusted the same way as the Gabthuli due to the lack of damage. So again, the Gabthuli and the Hambrabi both share the same weapon, the Fading rifle. So the same beam changes that would occur for the Gabthuli occurred for the Hambrabi. So the only change specifically to the Hambrabi is the thruster change from 70 to 75. Let's go ahead and cover the averages. This is level 1, level 2, which is at 600 cost and 650. At 600, the win rate is 49.2% average. Hambrabi's is 46.2. Rival win rate 48.6. Hambrabi's at 44. Damage done 65.7k. Hambrabi 61.4. MS's loss 3.0 to 3.1. For 650, the average is 50.2, like I mentioned before. Hambrabi's at 46.4. Rival win rate 49.3. Hambrabi's at 42.4. Damage 65.2. And then 65.2 again for the Hambrabi. But let's go into all of the full numbers. 65,250 in the average, 65,204 for Hambrabi. So it's right there. However, MS loss is where the big difference is. 2.8 MS loss average, 3.2 for Hambrabi. So it's dying way more often, and the win rate is clearly affected here. Hambrabi, while transformed, also received a thruster buff from 70 to 75. Last but not least, we have the Shuzrum Diaz NZ. The HP was increased from 17k to 18k, as well as higher levels. The double binder beam cannon heat rate was reduced from 95 to 90, reduced the weapon switch time, and reduced the rigidity time after using the weapon. So I'm assuming the kickback, I guess. So this says here that the suit was below average in all aspects of performance. This is due to the poor handling of the two beam cannons in the binder and how big the suit is. So what it says here, however, because of its weapon configuration, this unit often fought at close to medium range. The two beams and cannons in the binder were difficult to handle, and it was often destroyed without being able to operate it properly. So that's why they did the changes that they did here. I guess reduce the rigidity time after using weapon. I'm assuming they're talking about either overheat time or I guess how long you have to wait to fire it again. So let's go ahead and look at the averages. It's level 1 and level 2 at 550 and 600. At 550, the average is 49.3. The SDRs, I'm just going to call it the SDRs because I cannot pronounce that first word. So 49.3 for the average, 44.8 for the level 1. Rivals win rate 46.5, 42 for the level 1. Damage done 58.6 damage, 56.8 damage for the DRs. MS loss 2.5 to 2.9. Next we have the level 2. The level 2s at 600, the average is 49.1. The Diaz is at 44.4. Rival win rate 46.9. Diaz at 45.2. Damage done 61.6k versus 54.3k, so that's a huge difference, especially comparing the level 1 difference. MS loss 2.5 average, 3.1 for the Diaz, so it's dying much more often. So yeah, clearly it's underperforming. And just like I mentioned before, the fading rifle, which is used by both the Gapley and the Hambrabi, were changed. This also applies to its secondary mode, which is the beam saber version. The fading rifle, the heat rate was reduced from 55% to 50%. The cooldown time to fire it again was reduced from 1.5 seconds to 1.0 seconds. This means that you can fire the weapon twice now in rapid succession without overheating it, because the heat rate is 50%, and by the time you fire it that second time, the heat will be below 50%, so you will be able to get 2 shots off quickly. They also increased the accumulation of stagger. And then for the beam saber version, the power was increased from 2300 to 2400. Same for higher levels. So it says here, this is an adjustment to improve the inflicted damage of the Gapley and Hambrabi. We believe that the poor handling of this weapon and the difficulty of staggering are the main factors that reduce the inflicted the damage dealt by both units. So that's why they went ahead and lowered the cooldown time of the fading rifle and increased the accumulation value when you're not charging the shot, so that you can stagger them easier. They also made it hard. They also lowered the heat rate again, so that you don't overheat it as quickly. So there you go. I think that's a good change because, as we talked about it before, both of those suits are struggling, and it's not gonna get any easier as new suits are produced. So that covers all the changes as far as buffs and nerfs, and we've covered all the pertinent information as far as this patch and what dropped. So yeah, that covers that. Let's do a poll. Yeah, like I said, the recycle counter. I got the level 4 Gundam there and BD3, but I don't have a silver medal. That's probably why I can't see it. But there's oh no, it's right there. There's a the Gundam level 4 is not available in the DP shop yet, but I'm not gonna grab it because at 550 there's better suits. I already have this suit too, so there you go. So, but yeah, there's a kiosk level 1. There's the bazooka, also shrapnel mode. There we have the Goo BD3 and the Gerber Tetra. Well, I already have all of them, well, except for the level 1 Gerber. I have the level 2. I might grab it. I do like the suit. I'll wait for the requirements. You have to be an ensign. They added the prototype beam rifles. Prototype beam rifles, they hit really hard, but yeah. Even if they do hit hard, it's still a problem because of that ridiculous overheat time frame. Because once you fire it, it's gonna overheat. It's kind of not worth it. I don't like it. I personally don't like it. Alright, let's do a full cut. I do kind of like the Zeta Plus. I like how it looks. I kind of would like to grab it.
それでは抽選開始です。規定ポイントへの物資投下をお願いします。物資投下開始。
Okay, I guess.
さあ、どんどん行ってみましょう。さあ、どんどん行ってみましょう。
Yeah, free experience. It's almost done now.
さあ、どんどん行ってみましょう。
And that's a garbage weapon if I ever saw one.
さあ、どんどん行ってみましょう。さあ、どんどん行ってみましょう。
Oh hey, a level 5. Don't think I'm gonna be using it though.
さあ、どんどん行ってみましょ
う。Yeah, I've been having that suit maxed out. Gotta love the mighty egg.
さあ、どんどん行ってみましょ
う。And these are terrible guns. If you have the Gundam Pixie, there's no reason to use this. Just use the bullpup.
さあ、どんどん行ってみましょう。
Oh hey, a silver box. Okay.
さあ、どんどん行ってみましょう。なんとキャンペーン開催中です。出ました。物資特盛りです。
Alright, so that's not gonna be used because I don't have the patience to watch the Tracy's not gonna use that. I'm gonna stick to the large tomahawk. I believe I have the level 2, but derp, so who cares? Level 5 Ag guy is a 400 cost. There's no way in hell anyone's gonna use a level 4 Ag guy. Level 5 Ag guy, hell no. These are gacha only also, aren't they? Yeah, they are gacha only. Yep, all of these are gacha only. Came with an armored gym, but I already have it, so whatever. This gun sucks, so nobody cares. This gun sucks too, nobody cares. This is a good suit. And I believe I have the Golden Wolf. No, I have the level 1. And we have this weapon, which is level 3. I don't believe I'm going to be using this either, because I only have the level 2 at best. So yeah, that's all. We're done for today. Have a good one.
またのご利用お待ちしてます。